Well, this is a little bit of a different video because we are actually speaking after a week of winning Omaha Pro. And you guys are gonna be watching what we did 2 days prior to the show during peak week. So Dom always tells me that he likes for me to be focused on the task at hand. And because we didn't have a videographer with us, I was filming everything on my own. So we decided that we would film Thursday, which is 2 days before the show. And then of course, Friday, just really focused because he likes to time my food correctly, and the logistics of filming everything is a little difficult. But anyway, you guys are going to be
a lot like on your plate as an athlete, and like the more even though it's not like a ton of work and time consuming, there's a lot of things that are in your head, like, okay, like every day, like the water might be changing, or you're doing this amount of water and this amount of salt on each meal, and kind of timing out your meals. And then depending on like the person or what they have scheduled that day, whether you're getting your hair done or whatever, you have to kind of, schedule all that in. So it could just be a lot on top of you.
Yeah. So, but you guys are going to watch a little bit the meals that we had on Thursday, which we started carbing up a little bit on Wednesday, but really going a little bit heavier on carbs on Thursday. So you guys are going to see some of the meals that we had.
Wednesday was more of a fat.
A fat, yeah, because we were traveling
that day.
And so Thursday, you guys are going to just take a look at some of the meals that we have and see some clips of prejudging and finals, and then a special video that I found that Chelsea did for me talking about our friendship. But that video was actually from New York, and I ended up seeing the video right after. So that's why I'm actually plugging this in here, because it was very special. But first of all, before I pass the mic to Dom to do a recap, I just really want to thank everybody that has been following us for quite some time. I became a pro back in 2018, and since then there were a lot of trials and errors, which is normal for every athlete's journey. But I always tell Dom that Dom made me fall in love with bodybuilding again, because my experiences before, and again, I'm very thankful for all the coaches that I had before, which I had quite a few. There were not a lot of focusing on the things that we focus now, such as supplementation, recovery, different types of menus that allows me to have more carbs on certain days so I don't get as depleted and tired. So I tell him that he made me fall in love with bodybuilding again, because I very much enjoy prepping now as opposed to before. I was really dragging and kind of being that regular athlete that says, whatever it takes, no pain, no gain. And because I work full time too, it was very difficult for me to manage that life. And now this preparation made me realize that I can do it all. And as long as I have somebody in my corner that not only believes in myself, but also understands the science and ways to do it that is not as detrimental to my health. Mm-hmm. So,
and understands like your life, like some of the most basic things for every coach that they should be looking at is, what is that person's lifestyle? Amanda's very, very active. Before she started working with me, she worked in hospitality, and she was taking a lot of steps. And she said that a lot of her coaches didn't know that. And one of her coaches, I'm not going to name names, and she worked with a handful of really reputable Olympia level coaches. When he came and seen her, he was like, wow, I didn't know I wouldn't have you doing all this cardio. But these are just basic things of information that you want to gather. And I would say more than 50% of being a really good coach is if you pay close enough attention to all the variables and the controllables, it'll help provide you with useful information to making the right, decisions. And
Absolutely. So let's do a little recap before everybody watches what I ate, which I think everybody gets very curious, but it's important to mention too that everybody's different, right? So, but I would love for you to just share a little bit of the recap leading to the show.
So every single show.
And the difference between New York to in Omaha, that would be important.
So every single show with every athlete, not just Amanda, and everybody should do this, should do a show recap, regardless of how the show went, whether it was picture perfect, good, bad, because every time that we compete is an opportunity to assess things that you can use to your advantage to be better going forward. So, after every single show, one thing that I usually do, especially if it's like the first year prepping someone, the morning after, I always have people take a check-in the morning after a full day of hydrating and eating. Typically, like a typical response is, obviously they're gonna be much fuller, especially in areas like your shoulders, your upper body, quads. But if for some reason they were still just as dry and separated in areas like your glutes, your hamstrings, your lower abs, then that's a good indicator. Then that person probably could have pushed a little more food. And it's just important information for you to put in your toolbox for next time.
Yeah.
But with Amanda, we've always been doing that. And we do recaps after every show, but now we're going to share kind of like how we do it with you guys.
Recap between us, yeah.
So I would say that after we did New York, Amanda and I sat down and we looked at some of the variables that we could change and potentially have her get better in the short term in terms of doing another show. And one of the things that I assessed with like New York was, because we manipulated her water a little bit, like the last 32 hours before she did New York, with her metabolism and just the amount of sheer food that she had to do, which, I mean, I'd have to see it. I have it written down on paper, but I'm pretty sure it was like 720 grams of carbs on Thursday. This is before New York. On Friday, too, it was a lot, and she also had to do some dense food. So it was she naturally has a very, very good waistline. But with that type of the amount of food that was needed to keep her glycogen and keep her muscles full, I did notice a little bit of change in her midsection. Maybe not to the naked eye, but I know her body very well. So I said to her, the next one, that is something that's going to be a major focal point that I want to focus on, is keeping that waistline.
Let's see if I have pictures to share. But
keeping that waistline tight. We were very happy with how everything with New York went. The feedback that she got was pretty much putting on more tissue on her back and her legs. But me knowing her body a little better than anyone else, I knew that these were things that we could work on. So I told her, going into this next show, that would be a top priority, that I wanted to have her in a certain place from a muscle glycogen standpoint where she did not need to push an extreme amount of food 18 hours before she went on stage.
I don't know if anybody can see it, but maybe I can do it in a way that I can edit it. This is New York.
You could show in your abdominal and thigh too. You could tell too.
Yeah, this is New York. But my waist was much tighter for Omaha.
For Omaha, yes. So that was something that was a major like focus point going into that, and it was. But I will say, going into this show, we had a few different kind of, I don't want to call them curveballs, but some things that we changed kind of on the last minute of the day of the show, which I told her that I didn't want to, but in her head, she felt like she wasn't as dry or tight when she woke up, because I told her I didn't want to use no diuretics for this show. But I can tell mentally it was throwing her a little off in the morning right when she woke up. So we did the smallest microdose of a particular diuretic. I'm not going to get into like details, but there's only certain types of diuretics too that will work in that short of a time frame. And it did. It started pulling water off of her. However, I noticed, even though, judges might have not, I noticed that it flattened out parts of her physique.
They did.
In particularly, like
They did.
her back, her quads. Again, though, you can still win shows if you're in next level condition, a little on the flat side, opposed to being spilled over. So, these are little takeaways that we take from each show. And, I wanted to really show her this, to show her, look, just if you get a little more water off, that does not mean it's going to make you look better, because the body's an illusion. If you're pulling that water out, some of it is still coming from intracellularly. It's not all subcutaneous. So if you're lacking some of that fullness, it's going to take a lot of the pop and the depth of the separation that's in the muscle, which, again, that takes away from that wow factor. So that was like one of the main takeaways. And then, when you're going into these shows, it's really about monitoring the body closely. there were a couple times too where your blood sugar was a little high, and then we made some slight adjustments, and I showed her the difference too in when she was eating food and her blood sugar was high, because I told her, I said, look, you can go ahead and you could eat this meal right now that's 80, 90 grams of carbs, but where your blood sugar is, I'll tell you that nothing is going to happen in terms of seeing any sort of fullness from it when your blood glucose is that high.
Yeah. So I guess the takeaway of the recap was to really understand, like, for instance, in my mind, because we hear so much of athletes doing diuretics, to really understand that not everybody needs them. No. And I knew that already, and I trust Dom fully. I was just giving him some feedback, and because we live together and we coach together as well, so for my own, I would say, ways of learning too, I wanted to try and say, hey babe, so I know that leading up to now, the day of the show, we were not strategizing for me potentially taking anything, but let's go ahead and take it, the one that you believe we can do it, and take a little bit more water out at a short period of time, and kind of take it a educated guess in a sense, and see how we're gonna respond, which it was good enough for me to win the show, yes, but I know, and Dom knows as well, that I could be better. Like, my back was not fully, I've seen my back so much better before. I've seen my glutes much better before. I saw many things, but I would say I don't want to say that, because sometimes the person who is listening thinks that is like, wow, it's a huge difference. It's not. It's very small details, but that will make a difference, especially on the Olympia stage, right? So we took notes, and Dom is very good at that. He's very good at taking a lot of notes and making sure that, this is what happens when we do X, Y, and Z. This is what happened when what we do A, B, and C. And
like after prejudging, when she came back and she was like, I'm not that hungry. I said to her, I said, look, I'll guarantee you, and this is just for your learning experience, you're going to go back, check your blood sugar. It's going to be high because you're dehydrated right now. So she did that, and I said, look, if this was going into prejudging, because I wanted her to see this pretty much, and her blood sugar was that high, because I said, you could eat this food, but you're not going to see the response that you normally think that you would see, where when you eat like a dense meal, your skin gets thinner, you get more vascular. When your blood glucose is high like that, the nutrients isn't getting transported into the muscle the same way, essentially. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, definitely.
I wanted her to see that. Like, I could have given her like 4 or 5 units of insulin to drive it down quickly, and it wouldn't have been any risk, because the water was controlled at that point. So her body would have been able to absorb a lot more.
We actually did some, right?
We did actually at one, I can't remember, a little bit, and she could see the difference. And I try to teach this to her, like from a coaching standpoint. And you can tell we would wait for the blood sugar to get back down at least below 90, and then she would eat, and you would see her body would soak everything up like a sponge. Now you do.
But that was not for this one, because this one we only use Matador.
Yes, for this one. That was actually for New York when we did do that. But between prejudging and the night show at this one, I was telling her, I said, look, like, it would probably be best with your blood sugar this high to do a tiny bit of insulin, but I'm going to show you. Watch, it's not going to hurt anything, but you're going to eat a meal, a dense meal, and you're not going to see that same kind of anticipation with the fullness in your skin getting super thin and vascular as you would if your blood sugar was a little bit lower. Mm-hmm. But you do have to be careful with it, because since it's shuttling everything into the muscle, if she was just pounding water or two, you can spill over a lot easier too. So you have to know how to implement these different types of tools depending on how the body is like responding. Nobody should ever pre-plan to necessarily do that. If you pay attention to the body, it'll tell you what you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So from here, our top focus now is to take what we've learned from these shows, the feedback, and use it to our advantage to make as much improvements going into the Olympia, which the main feedback is to put on. Her back width is very good. She has very good teres minor and major, her lat to waist ratio, but it's more so of putting on a little more back density, more glutes, and a little more outer sweeps. Now, because she was in prep for 14 weeks, 15 weeks, the timing of this, I'm very happy because it's not like she's 12 or 10 weeks out from the Olympia. We have time right now to do a short, like, recomposition, AKA like health phase. And she could still improve because right now, because she's been in prep for so long, her body is so insulin sensitive that she does have an opportunity to put tissue on without relying on any exogenous like PEDs or anything like that at all, because she's going to come off of that just from the sheer fact of how insulin sensitive her body is. So the goal is to ride that insulin sensitivity window out, and that's why you don't want to just start eating tons of food, because then you wreck your sensitivity and you wreck that window of opportunity to put on some quality tissue. So we slowly start increasing her food a little more and more and cycle the food in and continue to increase it to keep her insulin sensitivity high. She's going to be training very hard, typically 7 to 10 days after this show. This week, it's kind of letting her body control any sort of like rebound, give her body a little bit of a break. And then starting next week, we'll put the plan in place to go ahead and potentially try to put on a little bit more tissue in those areas, clean her body out for at least the next 5 or 6 weeks. She'll get labs done in 4 weeks. And then I pretty much use the labs that we do as one of the main indicators in terms of mapping out the next phase accordingly, her prep phase of the Olympia.
So I'm very excited to get my plan. I know we're gonna start back on Monday. I mean, this week, and I know any competitors out there who are watching right now. The week after the show, it's a little bit of a struggle in a sense, because you are in that phase where you're pretty tired from the traveling and the show day, which usually starts as early as 4 a.m. if you're gonna get your makeup done, and then you're not done until about, and then it drives him crazy, and then you're not
2:00 in the morning to get your makeup done.
And then you're not done until about like 6 or 7 p.m. So it's a very long day that day, and then on top of that you are traveling a lot too, a few days prior to the show, the day after the show. And then you also have in mind, you're not in prep anymore, so your hunger hormones get a little bit crazy. You want to eat everything, but at the same time, you want to maintain a little bit of all of the work that you've done. So I don't like to say it's like a struggle, because it's just as hard as you make it. Particularly this time, which is very interesting.
Things that can make it easier, though.
Yeah.
We will implement.
Particular this time, I don't feel any sort of like anxiety to eat, or I don't feel like my lectin and ghrelin are completely unbalanced, which that's great. But and then another thing too that is a little crazy for me is that we arrived from Nebraska at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning Sunday, so the morning of Monday, and then by 8 o'clock in the morning I was at work. So I worked all the way until yesterday, so I barely have, my house is a mess. Everything's kind of a mess,
And we have no air conditioning.
Yeah, and the air conditioning is broken in my new house.
Just downstairs, though.
Just downstairs, yeah. So we're sweating as, But anyway, they're coming to fix today. But so there were a lot of things that we had to kind of manage this week, and I'm super excited to go back next week, because I feel like that's when I will put it in my mind, okay, so every little things that needs to be fixed in the house or taken care of, it's all taken care of. So now I can restart with a clean mindset and a clean surrounding too, because I'm the kind of person, the kind of athlete that I need to have a clean house, I need to have a clean office, I need to have everything organized in order to be successful in anything that I do. Mm-hmm. So, but that was it, guys. I'm gonna let you guys take a look at everything that we did on Thursday, 2 days prior to the show, and we're gonna have.
We'll also want to add into that. After the show, people go through what I call like the post-show blues, And that's for a number of...
Is that even a thing?
Of course it's a thing. I mean, you know this. You've gone through it tons of times before.
Yeah, but
most of it is a hormonal shift because your endocrine system is like a pendulum. When it's swinging one way, it's going to swing back the other way. Not just hormones, like talking about stuff from like PEDs, hunger hormones in regards to that too as well. So for women, it's just as important to them that they do an actual like PCT as well to optimize like their hormones, make sure that their skin is staying up to par, because you can tell it's usually about 3 to 4 weeks after a show where people start to notice that this type of shift, whether it's their skin, whatever it may be. So there's different things that we do to post-cycle a female accordingly. So, you know, we'll be on top of all of that. And then from here, it's really about making sure your training is structured a certain way and taking advantage of this insulin sensitivity window.
I guess I was thinking about more of the blues you meant, like psychologically, which I get it. A lot of people work so hard for the shows, but I also want to remind you guys that is a lot of life outside bodybuilding. So when you're done competing, there are so many things that you can do, you know, going back to heavy training, going back to eating at your favorite restaurant and get together with friends and family and enjoy life outside it too. So I get the hormonal shift that happens, but I like to remind people how much fun it is to do things outside bodybuilding too, to kind of give you a little bit of a balance in your life. But that was it for the recap. You guys are gonna, as I said many times, you guys are gonna see what I ate 2 days before and then a little clip of everything that happened after. And we are qualified for Olympia. I'm so excited to share everything with you and share a little bit more of Dom's knowledge and wisdom when it comes to bodybuilding. And it really truly helps me in so many different ways, not only the knowledge as a coach, but also the wisdom as being an athlete himself. So sometimes I have days that I feel like I want to give up, and he is the one that pulls me back out of the funk, you know, and so does everybody around me. Las Vegas has an incredible community of amazing people. Not only in bodybuilding, but I have so many friends outside bodybuilding too that have the best words to share with me when I'm not feeling too well. And another important thing too that we added in our lives is going back to church, going back to our relationship with Jesus Christ, and that has been helping me so much.
That's huge.
Not only mentally, but I don't want this relationship with him to be about me getting better in bodybuilding. Is me getting better as a human being, everything that I do in my life. So that was a big change for me too. So I'm super excited about that because we're going to church every Sunday.
And we're getting Vito back this weekend.
Oh yeah, Vito was actually at a boot camp.
He was in prep himself.
Yeah, he was in a boot camp for 4 weeks while we were traveling. So he was getting trained. We're excited to see if he can actually behave now, which I don't know, because he has a lot of, you know, his dad's personality.
No, he'll be fine. He's a very smart boy.
He is.
And the training worked out perfect because he went right before we left for the first show. So we kind of killed 2 birds with 1 stone. But
I'm so excited.
I miss him very much. And
I do too.
Happy to have, you know, the family all back together.
Yes. All right, guys.
Some normalcy, right?
Normal. What's normal?
I know. Define normal.
What is up, YouTube? I am here now in Omaha, Nebraska. Of course, Dom and I wanted to film everything leading up to the travel, but we just had so much at hand. But it would be amazing to just show you guys how we pack our meals, how we get ready for the show, how we packed all the supplements and all the things that is necessary for the peak. I think I'm going to be able to do that for my next show, hopefully the Olympia. But with somebody doing that for us, because the logistics of filming everything on our own is just absolutely nuts. So today we arrived yesterday. Yesterday was Wednesday. The show is Saturday. So I typically arrive at shows on Tuesdays. So I have 2 days to settle, to relax and do all the preparation for the show. But we were really thinking, hey, Wednesday will be fine. We'll arrive there. Omaha is not too far away from Vegas. It was just 2.5 hours in a plane. So we just decided to leave it on Wednesday, which was perfect. We got here. The first thing that we did was we got a car. We rented a car. We went to the grocery store, but everything already needed. We don't leave things like, okay, let's buy things for the next 2 days. And then we come back to the grocery store and buy things for, the day, actually the day of the show. The little things, like there are a lot of little things that we buy that we don't necessarily eat every day. We just eat the day prior to the show or a few hours prior to the show, but I already purchased everything because I don't like to procrastinate. So yesterday we purchased everything needed, and I did a little bit of a run around the city doing other things too. In fact, our bags arrived 2 hours later. You guys can only imagine how stressed I was about that. Our bags ended up going to Denver. And then Southwest said, hey, you got to come back in 2 hours to pick up your bags again from the airplane for the import. And they were actually very nice. They gave us a voucher to use it for future trips. And it was actually quite smooth. I mean, the airport is just about 5 minutes away from us. We are just 5 minutes away from the venue too. So everything worked it out fine. But I did a little bit of a run around yesterday and then just relax, watch TV and ate and enjoyed the day with Dom because we rarely really enjoy much time together because we just work. But anyway, so had a great night of sleep. Of course, woke up several times throughout the night to use the bathroom. And but that's part of the game. And I apologize, I'm wearing sunglasses here. I should be connecting with you guys with eye contact. I know better than that, but I just woke up. I am exhausted. I don't want you guys to see this situation here. But I want to show you guys today, again, today's Thursday. And this is what I am eating leading up to the show. Yesterday, we already added some carbs, but nothing crazy. I had some jasmine rice here and there. I had, basically just, and in the morning I had oats with English muffins. So he did a combination of low glycemic and high glycemic in the morning. And then throughout the day, I had mostly low carbs, especially traveling when we are in a plane. We definitely want to avoid carbs so we avoid any water retention. And when we arrived, I had a few meals with rice, some with some olive oil, others with only white meat and jasmine rice. So right now, I'm going to show you guys what I am having, which is actually my favorite meal. And this is the first meal on Thursday, 2 days out. So right before we have any carbs, of course, we're going to use Matador by Project AD. I have 1 capsule of Matador, which is basically a lot of berberine that's going to help us make sure that my blood sugar doesn't spike too high or actually lower. Usually my blood sugar is pretty good in the morning, but we want to also make sure that it is stable. So we use 1 capsule prior to every high carb meal or any meals that has more than 25 grams of carbs. Okay, so I already took my Matador. I'm going to have some protein, but not a lot. Protein is not really the main micronutrient during peak. So it's just some egg whites. And then this is heaven. This is my cream of rice. I added a little touch of unsweetened cocoa powder. I'm a huge fan of unsweetened cocoa powder. You guys probably already know. And then we have some bananas. And then I have some rice milk. And so I cook my cream of rice with water normally, and then I just slowly add some rice milk right here, and the flavor, guys, is just freaking delicious. Rice milk is so yummy, but I would not suggest you guys having this on a regular basis because, okay, let's read the nutritional facts. It is 24 grams of carbohydrates in only 1 cup and 11 grams of sugar only in 1 cup. So you don't want to be using this on a daily basis. This is just for the strategy of peak week. And then I'm going to have Dom here talk to you guys why he chooses rice milk and why we push so much, carbs prior to the show. But there is a whole science behind it. So again, I don't recommend having this on your regular days. This is just for the purpose of peak week. And then of course, I have already all of my supplements here ready to go. This is for day one. I have all the bags already separated, so I'm not just running around trying to find all my supplements, especially when I'm traveling. And then of course I have a cup of coffee. And I have a lot of water that I'm gonna be drinking today too, which we started the water process already a couple days ago, but today we are lowering a little bit, but not too much, still keeping water. And that's my first meal, so I am so excited. I'm so hungry. We already did some check-ins. I woke up today at 151.6, I think. Let me see, because I always send it to Dom, because this is very important. I never really, prior to working with Dom, we never focus so much on the weight as much as Dom does. He makes me weigh myself like literally after every meal almost. So let's check. I sent it to him this morning. So about an hour ago I hit about 151.6. And then I sent him my check-ins on an empty stomach. And we do videos, we do photos, just to kind of make sure that we have all the data necessary here. So this is, I was, basically fasted, and as you can see, I'm flat here too. So it's gonna be fun after to show you guys how my body's gonna look with some carbs and food in me, which is pretty different. But we collect a lot of data just for our own purposes and of course for our clients as well. All right guys, I'm gonna get to this. I am so hungry, and later on I'm gonna come back with meal number 2, and hopefully when Dom wakes up, he's already awake, he's already working, but when he is out and about from the bedroom, I will have him here to explain a little bit more of what every meal means and the reasons why we have what we have. All right, so we're going towards now meal number 2. It has been almost 2.5 hours since I had my first meal. Of course, I already took my Matador because it is a pretty heavy carb meal right now. I'm eating jasmine rice and salmon, which is my favorite meal ever. So just take a look at this right now, guys. A good amount of jasmine rice and then salmon. And then of course we have here some other supplements too for digestion, along with Matador. Dom is working non-stop as always. I'm working too. We have a very good setup here. We're very comfy. And again, I'm sorry for the sunglasses, but I'm just too tired. I don't want anybody to see these eyes. Peak week is it's a fun time, I'm not gonna lie, because we're eating more than ever. But it's also like a roller coaster of energy. I woke up extremely tired. I feel much better now, of course, after my first meal. I'm sure I'm gonna feel even better now after my second meal. But it's a roller coaster. Just athletes who go through this understand what this means. And it's a combination of emotions too, right? Because you're getting closer to the show, the final product, and you have all these this idea of what you want to see on stage, and you want to make sure that you nail that. So anyway, I'm gonna get started with my meal. Again, this is my favorite meal ever, salmon and rice, and then I will come back to you guys for my third meal. Talk to you soon.
200 grams of carbs in right now. And then after this, don't pose anymore, because you don't want to just spin through the food that you're eating posing all the time, all right?
Okay.
You're so insulin sensitive. You look night and day already from this morning, completely night and day. Boom, waist is staying nice and snatched. So right now, she's 2 meals in, 2 days out to her carb load. Technically about 200 grams of carbs, because the first meal had about 110, 115, and the second had about 85 to 90. she's probably gotten 20 grams of fat. Wow. I can't believe how much you changed from this morning. I seriously cannot believe it. You can send me the pictures off of this.
I have pictures there. I just took pictures.
Send those to me because I'm blown away by how fast that you've changed. Like, so fast.
So we're going towards third meal, but before we're going to check my blood sugar levels just to see if everything is going accordingly. So let's see. All right. There we go. 108, babe.
Everybody starts off with an introduction, so here we go.
Take a Matador. All right, so I'm going to take a Matador and wait probably 15-20 minutes to eat my next meal. Meanwhile, we're just working here a little bit, watching the Sean Ryan show. One of our favorite podcasts, right, babe? All right, so time for some Matador and then get ready for third meal. Can't wait. I'm so hungry. All right, guys, so we took some Matador about 15 minutes ago. I'm going to check blood sugar again. All right.
Are your parents still with us? No. My dad died. He was 84. My mom was
97, babe. Yep, so again, Matador is incredible, guys. You guys saw it. It was 108 just a few minutes ago. Took Matador. It was basically on an empty stomach because I had my last meal a while ago. So took Matador, waited for a few minutes, and now I'm ready to eat. So we can go a little bit more in details of why we want the blood sugar to be low when we eat carbohydrates. And we can do that in our next video or so. But I'm getting ready to eat my next meal and I will show you what it is. So again, checked for blood sugar. We are good to go after taking Matador. Now I'm having my meal number 3 and it's jasmine rice, some tilapia, and olive oil, which is delicious. Anyway, I am not ready to show my face without my sunglasses, let me tell you that. Because we're picking, and picking, guys, as I said, is a roller coaster. I'm not feeling too sexy yet, but very excited to glam in 2 days. And again, this is meal number 3. Then my next one is my pre-pump up, and then we're gonna hit the gym, do a quick 30 minutes to 40 minutes max of a pump up, and that will be it until show day. Meal number 4 and it's my pre-pump up and it's some egg whites and then this right here. I'm so excited to have this, guys. I have no idea. This is cream of rice with banana and nut butter. Yeah, and it's a lot of cream of rice too, guys. Super easy to digest. I love it. I was never a big fan before I started working with Dom, but he got me hooked. Again, cream of rice, banana, nut butter, and then just a little bit of protein because protein is not really important right now, but we are keeping a little bit in the diet. Again, everything was measured before, blood sugar, Matador was taken, and I'm ready to eat and then go to the gym for the last day before the show. I'm gonna have Dom explain a little bit why we check blood sugar levels prior to carbing up, especially on peak week. And then the importance of using the products that we use by Project AD, in particular Matador, which is the product that he has at hand right now. So I am gonna pass the mic to him, just gonna adjust the camera right here, and then right here, babe. So you can speak a little bit better, the audio.
So to not get into a full-on educational tutorial, to sum it up kind of in a nutshell where people could understand it. So when you're pushing like a high amount of carbohydrates and you're trying to restore muscle and liver glycogen, your insulin sensitivity is crucial. both for also like building muscle and burning body fat. So in a case where you're pushing a lot of like carbohydrates, if you're running like higher like blood sugar and your pancreas is not producing enough insulin, the carbs are not going to sufficiently get shuttled into the muscle, if that makes sense. So if Amanda eats a meal and let's say her blood sugar is somewhere between 75 and 95, opposed to if she ate a meal and her blood sugar was 120, then, you know, a lot of the nutrients isn't going to get fully shuttled into the muscle the way that it would if her blood sugar was lower and her body was producing adequate amounts of insulin. Now, how that relates also into, let's say, you know, just even burning body fat. If someone wakes up in the morning and they're going to do their fasting cardio and their blood sugar's 125, 150, whatever it may be, it's going to take that person longer to get into an optimal fat burning zone if they're running high blood glucose. So before Amanda's meals, especially these bigger carb meals, we want to make sure that her blood sugar is in that optimal place. And that's why a great product is Matador. And what you'll notice is when you take this, she'll usually take a serving of Matador about 20 minutes before her carb meals. If it's a meal that has 25 to 50 grams of carbs, 1 pill. Anything more than that, 2 pills. And what you'll notice on the last video that she did, which you took a video of that, right? Mm-hmm. I think her blood sugar was like a 108. She took just 1 pill and then waited maybe 20 minutes or so. And then her blood sugar went back down to, what was it, 90, 97. Yeah. We'll pull it down 10, 15 units or so. But that's just enough to definitely make a difference. In the Matador? Most of the time, you want to have a good amount of berberine, chromium picolinate. Sometimes there's cinnamon cassia. I know that there is, there's chromium, vitamin B6, D3, vitamin C. Pretty much all things that are going to positively impact your blood glucose. But this is something that is definitely super important. What you could notice and expect, say, if you have somebody that's in prep and let's say they start their carb up, their first few meals, they're looking great, they're filling out, and then they're starting to notice as they're eating, their composition, they're not getting really much fuller. There's a point where they just end up starting to look worse, where they are still not, like their glycogen stores are still not fully full. And then they end up just holding kind of a sheet of water as they're eating more and more. A lot of times that's because they're running high blood glucose and they're continuously just pounding the food. And then their composition just starts looking worse and worse. Then you'll usually start to see the midsection will like hold a little bit more and it'll be harder to control. And it's just, again, it's a variable that you can monitor and keep an eye on. And when you're competing, especially at this level, why leave any stones that could be potentially unturned?
What is your opinion on metformin?
So metformin, to kind of not go into like a whole nother lecture on that. So it's something that could be beneficial. It's got a lot of good anti-aging properties because it inhibits mTOR and IGF and blocks glucose in the liver, okay? Now, for a bodybuilder that has great insulin sensitivity, you would not typically want to do this because it's going to somewhat potentially negatively impact you being able to sufficiently load your glycogen stores, and the fact that it inhibits mTOR, which mTOR, way did I explain it without getting into a huge lecture? Think of it as a light switch to turn protein synthesis on. Now, if it's inhibiting that, protein synthesis for a bodybuilder is pretty freaking important. So you would not want to do that. And you would not want to inhibit IGF, insulin growth factor. And if you look at somebody too that is consistently on metformin that is not using any exogenous growth hormone, a lot of times you're going to see that their IGF is typically a lot lower. So again, it's something that's a tool that can be successfully used if you know the mechanism of action and how it works. I've had a handful of people that are in prep that I've had to have them use it, but these are people though that are have become extremely insulin resistant. For somebody that has perfect insulin sensitivity, it could be potentially detrimental in your prep. And you could see, that you could potentially end up like losing muscle because of it. So before you just start popping this, popping that, you need to know how this stuff works and understand that everyone's body is entirely different and how to apply it.
Back after my pump up, I was not gonna take you guys there because that was not really a workout. You guys know how I work out here in this channel, so that was just pathetic. I did a little pump for chest, shoulders, biceps, triceps, a little bit of back, just pullovers, and no legs, of course. Leg day, my last leg day was last Saturday, so almost a week ago. And then today was just a little bit of a touch up of our upper body to allow for the glycogen, carbs, just to be used a little bit, get into the muscle. But we shouldn't, nobody out there, especially for our category, should be training too heavy when they are carbing up, because then what's the purpose of carbing up, and we would just spin through food. So super light, didn't even bother to film. I look crazy though. I was like, oh damn, I wish I was filming that. But I want to remain myself focused, and really execute everything to a T. So having the camera, unless it's Chelsea, which is coming tomorrow, following me around, then that's good. But for me, the logistics of filming would be too crazy. But I'm gonna show you right now my post pump up food, and this is, I know it sounds a little weird for anybody who is not in the bodybuilding industry to have blueberries with rice and salmon, and then just a random English muffin on the side. But for anybody in bodybuilding, that's like, yep, she's carbing up. But so that's what I got. So let me just show you right here. Okay, so post pump up is jasmine rice, tons of jasmine rice, blueberries, salmon. We want the fat in this meal, so the protein irrelevant, fat good. Rice from jasmine rice and the blueberries, and then on the side just a random English muffin with ketchup. I'm okay to eat anything, guys. So whatever Dom tells me to eat, I am down. So let me get to this. I'm getting super hungry. I took my Matador. I'm feeling a little bit my blood sugar going down. When we tested, it was 100. I tested again, 97. We're good to go. But now I feel like it's going even lower than 97. So I don't want to go high point. I know I won't, but I am ready to eat. So this is my post pump up, and let's get going with this peak day number 1. This is meal number 6, and it's already nighttime here in Omaha. It's 9:30, so I'm using a little light here to help you guys see what we're gonna have now. So it's jasmine rice, sweet potatoes, banana, and some white meat. Is that tilapia, babe?
Fish.
Yeah, tilapia, and a little drop of extra virgin olive oil. So I'm super excited about this meal, as I am excited for all meals. I'm not quite hungry yet because I ate just about an hour and a half ago. So we're gonna wait a few more minutes, but my meal, it's ready to go whenever I start feeling a little hungry, which is most likely because my blood sugar, it's still a little high from the previous meal, which was pretty heavy. Not heavy in the sense of like weight, but tons of carbohydrates, as we are supposed to eat a lot of carbs today. So I'm just gonna wait maybe 20 more minutes and then get this meal down, because we have one more to go before I go to bed. Also, guys, that probably I haven't mentioned yet, I really started doing more tea towards the last 5 days. This particular one I've been using for quite some time now. Not in particular in any prep, but just on a daily, especially when I am low carb. And it's called Smooth Move. It definitely helps you use the bathroom. It has some senna and peppermint. And then we have just pure peppermint here. And then we have dandelion root, which is a diuretic, a natural diuretic. And then this particular one has a little bit of CBD, and it's ashwagandha. So tonight I'm just having some peppermint and smooth move for before going to bed, and it definitely helps my stomach and just my overall digestion. I also use a lot of ginger. I have ginger tea somewhere here too, and I've been doing ginger. Really big fan of teas in general. Always had a lot of tea. I just kind of lost a little bit of interest in them, especially being so hot in Vegas. But what I'm doing is just heating up water, making them, and then putting them over ice water and keep it in the fridge. So I'm having iced tea. None of them have caffeine, so they're safe to have at night. And is actually pretty tasty too.
We did it! I'm so proud of my sister.
She cried. I wasn't crying. She cried. I mean, I cried.
You
I
get
cried.
invested, and I'm just so proud. I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it.
And I'm so happy she's here because she was not with me when Dom proposed to me, and
No.
she cannot forgive me for that. But she is here for my first pro.
That's more important in my eyes. Good morning, guys. I know this is Amanda's channel, but I just felt like I needed to come on here and take a minute to talk about Amanda. She is a sister in iron to me. She's such a great example of working so fucking hard in everything that you do. You know, she has discipline tattooed on her, and she's one of the most disciplined people I've ever met. And she's always inspired and motivated me to work harder, and just the person that she is someone that you won't come across probably ever again. And I am so beyond proud of her in the work that her and Dom have done. She literally looks like she ate her former self. And it's hard when you're looking at yourself and you're thinking, oh, you know, I don't think I've improved that much. No, she has. She's literally has improved so much that I can't think of anybody else who has improved more than her. So they already left for the show, and I know that she's gonna go up there and going to shock a lot of people. Her front shots, they literally rival Natalia, and I cannot wait to see them standing next to each other, because it's really going to be an eye-opener for a lot of people to keep a lookout for her. So it's 7:04 right now, so they get on stage at 8, and I'm gonna get the live stream so we can watch it here at the Airbnb while I get ready. And I don't get on stage till 12, and thankfully they will be able to be back here and will be able to watch me up there. So I just wanted to share a little, you know, Amanda, I love you. I love you so much, and I cannot wait to see how fucking awesome you do.